The following program is made possible with the support of Diana Corbett with Century 21 Sawyer and Associates, Hendrick Toyota Scion of Wilmington, Papa John's Pizza, Port City Daily, and WILM.
Hey everyone, I hope you're off to a great start to the new year, getting back into the swing of things after the holidays. I'm Joe Katz from PortCityDaily.com. Welcome to our second edition of the Sports Roundtable, our weekly look at high school basketball across New Hanover County. I was a little under the weather for our first show, which featured the 4 boys coaches from the county. But with that said, each show will rotate between the boys and girls coaches. And this week, we'll talk with veteran coaches Sherry Tynes, Adrian Gale, Bubakar Au, and Bertha Dixon-Wright. It's been an exciting and competitive start to the season with conference play already underway. We also had the New Hanover Wildcats claim their first Leon Brogdon tournament championship over the break, a coaching milestone in Bucktown that we'll get to later on in the show, and lots to look forward to as we head through the next couple of weeks in the conference schedule. A quick peek at the Mid-Eastern Conference standings has New Hanover atop the division at 4-0 in league play, followed by Hoggard and Laney, each a game back at 3-1, and Ashley right behind at 2-2. Leading things off here on the edition of the Sports Roundtable is Hoggard girls basketball coach Bubakar Au. And Coach, it's always good to see you, sir.
Coach, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to be here.
Hoggard Vikings off to a 3-1 start in conference, 1 game back from New Hanover, 12-4 overall. But before we get to maybe the X's and O's and how the season is going so far, Coach, you're now in your 3rd year of coaching girls basketball at Hoggard. Maybe talk about some of the things that you've learned from year 1 to year 3, having covered you all 3 seasons so far. I could see maybe not during the game on the sidelines getting in the referee's ear too much, but for the most part, learning how to deal with a girls basketball team coming from a high Division I level, playing yourself. Big adjustment those from the first year to year 3 now. Maybe some things that you've learned and picked up on over the last couple seasons.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's a huge difference from D1 to high school basketball, especially girls. But it's still the same game. It's played the same way with fundamentals and all of that. But I think I have learned to relax over the years a little bit and also learned to not expect anything. You know, you just go ahead, get the girls ready to play, and you go ahead and play because you never know, you know. But I'm pretty pleased with the outcome. You know, the girls have been really playing this
well,
year.
I would think that some of the referees in the area would probably have a different opinion on what you just said right there. But nonetheless, I think you're doing a great job with the Viking girls basketball program thus far, right in the middle of the mix here through conference. You fell in the conference opener to New Hanover, but you've bounced back since then. You also played in the finals of the Leon Brogdon Holiday Tournament, which a big attribute to what your team has done this year. How do you think the players have responded to you over the last couple of seasons? Now, used to the Coach Au coaching style since year 1 now to year 3.
I think they've adjusted really good to it. At first, when I first got there, you had to change the culture before you can start thinking about winning. And it was all about changing the culture and teaching the girls the proper way to play the game. I think going into my 3rd year, I think we have starting to see some result because when I first got there, some of the girls, it was their first year and this is their 3rd year. So they exactly understand what my expectations are and how I want them to play. And I think they are buying into it more than anything else.
Well, I think you have a good mix on the roster. Youth experience, you have some scores, and it obviously starts with number 12, your senior captain, Julia Bueller. She is a scorer from all parts of the court, picks up the game on the defensive end. But on the other hand, you also have some other younger players. Emma Haywood has put in some quality minutes for you. Aaliyah Thompson, in addition to some younger players. Sophomore Tara Petit is also put in some quality minutes off the bench. So you have a well-rounded group this season.
Absolutely. I mean, we all know about Julia. Julia has started since her freshman year. Probably she'll go down as probably one of the best players that ever played in this conference. She reached 1,000 points about maybe a month ago. I mean, great player, but I'm really proud of the progress I've seen in Julia over the past 3 years, because when I first got there, Julia was not such a great defensive player. But you see Julia now, she gets low, she stay in front of her man, and I'm really proud of her. And like you also said, we got not just Julia, we got a variety of players that are doing great things for her, like Emma and Aaliyah. Probably Aaliyah, the most important player we have on the team. She does so much for us. She's the only tall girl we have underneath. We ask so much of her, and I'm really proud of her. She's probably having her best season. And Emma as well, whenever she's asked to score, she's provided scoring us, and really tough player. Whatever you want from her, you get. And finally, Tara. Tara would probably start in any team, and she's the ultimate team player. She understands that, hey, my turn will come, so she's okay coming off the bench. But really proud of the girls, and just not to leave one out, Madison Crumpton. She's one of my senior captain, probably my favorite on the team, because whatever you want, she does. She never pouts. She just out to do whatever the team wants her to do. I'm really excited.
Well, I think watching Tara on the floor when she comes in off the bench, she has a very high basketball IQ for being just a sophomore. And with Emma, she was, got nicked up a little bit during that Brogdon tournament. She missed a couple of games last week due to a concussion, I believe, hit her head on the floor. And you were able to pick up a couple of wins even without her. So that must say a little bit about the depth of your team moving forward.
Well, one thing, our motto is not to use anything as an excuse. We don't want to be the kind of team that just make up excuses, even though we had all the reason to do it. With Emma is probably my second leading scorer. But you never want the girls to make them believe that, hey, we don't have one of our best players, so it's okay, if we lose. No. They understand that they're on the team for a reason, because they have the skill set to be on the team. They are good players, and we have great, we got some girls that have stepped up. I think Keely Britton has done a good job for us, like Tara also has done a wonderful job. But in order for us to be good, we need all 10 players to play. That's the bottom line.
Well, now moving through the, this week, couple of days off before you get back into conference play. What's going to be the mindset heading through practice over the next couple of days before you get back on the floor Friday?
Well, our goal this year is to win the conference. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. We want to win the conference, and we see a team that's on our way. Obviously, Ashley, you have to respect a whole lot, and Coach Gail for the job she's done over the years coaching Ashley. But we understand they are beat down, but they are a tough team, and especially at home. Those are tough players, and we have a tough game tomorrow against them. But I think my girls, they are tough too. They are ready. They are mentally really ready, and I think they want that game more than anybody.
Coach Boubacar Al, 3-1 in conference play. The Hoggard Vikings, 12-4 overall. Don't forget, you can follow all of our area high school basketball coverage, at least my coverage, at portcitydaily.com. Coach Al, it's always a pleasure talking with you. Good luck this week and the rest of the way.
Thanks, Joe, and thanks for the job you're doing.
We'll catch up with the rest of our high school basketball coaches across New Hanover County after this. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Sports Roundtable. I'm your host, Joe Katz. This week we're catching up with all of the girls basketball coaches across New Hanover County. And don't forget, you can follow all of my local high school coverage each and every day at portcitydaily.com, and also on my radio show, The Sports Connection, which airs Mondays at 5 p.m. and Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. on 103.7 Port City Radio. Up next is Laney girls basketball coach Sherry Tynes. Coach Tynes, it's good to have you here on the first edition of the Sports Roundtable.
It's good to be here. Thanks. Before
we get to the season and what we've seen so far and what lies ahead, I have to say congratulations. I know Coach Adams, your assistant, told me not to bring this up multiple times, but you did reach a milestone recently with your 400th career coaching victory. So that's a nice little tip of the cap and nice little trophy that you're going to be able to put on the mantle. 400 career coaching wins. A little perspective on that.
Well, thanks. And, we've just been really fortunate to have some really good kids come through Laney who have worked extremely hard for us and has enabled the program to get those 400 wins. So, just happy to have been able to be a part of that. And, hats off to all the people that have come through the program and made that possible.
Well, a little different look, fast forwarding things to the season. Key pieces have left throughout, as they do when they graduate. You've lost a number of key players over the years, a kind of a fresh bunch over the last couple of seasons, especially this year. Right now, you're 3-1 in conference, 10-5 overall, 1 game back from the division lead, so right in the mix heading through kind of the next couple of weeks, some key conference games coming up, but right where you want to be kind of at this portion of the season.
Well, it is, when you have a new group like we have, it's, there's a lot of learning that goes on, and you don't know when they're going to grasp it and when it's going to become easier for them. A lot of thinking instead of a lot of reacting still in some areas of what we're trying to do. But I think we've made really good progress. I'm really pleased with where we are right now. Wasn't real sure where we would be at this particular point, but certainly we're excited to be 3-1 in the conference right now, and in a position to to still take it one way or the other.
Well, last Friday night, you picked up a big victory over Ashley on your home floor to snap kind of a 3-game skid there, and couldn't come out of a better time. Obviously, coming out of the holiday break, you're on a 3-game losing streak, but then to pick up a win against an Ashley team, always a very competitive game. To get that victory must build a lot of confidence heading through this week. Well,
it does. We lost a close one at Hoggard on Tuesday night by 2, and we just really took ourselves out of the mix there in the fourth quarter with so many turnovers. But bounced back on Friday night and had a great win. It's anytime you can win against one of the county opponents, it's always a good win. I thought the girls played much better, much smarter, took much better care of the basketball, and did a better job defensively and rebounding than we did in the Christmas tournament when we faced Ashley. So, did a lot of things a little bit better. Still have lots of work to do. And certainly have our hands full, going into tomorrow night against Hanover.
Well, looking at the screen now, up by 7 midway through kind of the fourth quarter. Something that's been a staple of your program over the years has been on the defensive end of the floor. You have to be really proud of the way the girls continue to hustle, despite maybe having some trouble putting the biscuit in the basket. They're still able to, pick up that intensity on the defensive end of the floor.
Yeah, we certainly haven't been burning the nets up here lately, so we've got to, kind of go to our defense, and haven't really. Up until Friday night played and Tuesday did a better job defensively, but rebounding has been a thorn in our side this year. We don't have a lot of size, a lot of height, so the kids, I'm just trying to get them to compete and try to go get the ball. Just make the effort to try to give yourself the chance to get the ball, get a hand on the ball, and it's a weakness of ours, and it's something that we continue to work on every day. And like I said, we did that a little bit better on Friday night, and certainly that's going to be a key tomorrow night. If we're in a position to get some stops, we're going to have to get some rebounds.
Well, you do have some players, though, on the roster that can score the basketball, from Bailey Edwards to Jensen Edwards. Jada Malone has done a good job controlling the basketball at the point guard position. Anna Porcelli gives you some quality minutes off the bench from the outside. So you do have some players that are able to score. Just would like to see them, get some more points as you head through.
Well, just to be a little more consistent. I think we're getting some good shots and some good opportunities, but not hitting, as many as I think we need to. We had 9 kids score the other night, so we've got a, more than 1 or 2 kids that can score. It's just a matter of when it's going to happen, and if they get on a roll, or if it's a good night or a bad night on the offensive end. But you just, like I tell the kids, you got to keep shooting, and hopefully sooner or later they'll go in for you.
Well, heading through next day of practice or so, coming back from the holiday break, kind of finally getting to the swing of things. 1-1 last week in conference. What's going to be, I know we kind of touched on it a little bit, but what are the keys, maybe 1 or 2 keys to have a successful week? You kind of break the schedule down at the week by week with 2 games each week in conference. What's going to be the mindset heading through this week?
Well, just to compete, to be competitive, to get after it, to hustle every play, try to stay focused and try to stay in the moment. Don't do any more than what we're capable of doing, but certainly you need to step up and do your part and play your role, and just, be aggressive on both ends of the floor. Just try to do what needs to be done to come out on the good end of that.
Well, the Laney Lady Bucks, they are 3-1 in conference, 10-5 overall. Coach Sherry Tynes, again, Coach, congratulations on that 400th career victory. I know you're way beyond that, looking ahead to the games coming up and hopefully a successful run to potentially a conference title. Coach Sherry Tynes, Laney girls basketball coach. Coach, it's always good to see you and talk to you, and I'll see you soon on the floor.
All right, thanks.
That's Laney girls basketball coach Sherry Tynes here on the Sports Roundtable. We'll take a quick break and we'll get caught up with New Hanover Wildcats coach Bertha Dixon right after this. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Sports Roundtable. I'm Joe Katz, taking our weekly look at high school basketball across New Hanover County. We've caught up with two of our girls basketball coaches thus far. Next up is New Hanover Wildcats head coach Bertha Dixon Wright. And coach, it's always good to see you here on stage finally for the first edition of our Sports Roundtable in the new year.
Right. I'm excited to be here.
Well, the Wildcats, you can't say much more than Leon Brogdon, tournament champions for the first time, and we'll start right there. It's been a long time coming, catching up with you after the tournament finals. You were very proud of the girls, and a little, a historical aspect as well. It's been going on for almost more than 2 decades, and the Wildcats are finally able to hang up a trophy as the Brogdon Holiday Champs.
That's right. As I told you in the interview, we've been to the championship game several times. We just couldn't get over the hump. And then, like I said, there's been several times when I sat in the stands with my team and I wondered what it would feel like just to be there that day. And it was a great feeling. The kids felt great. I felt great. The fans felt great. They had great fan support. And I was just glad for my 2 seniors to see them pull that out.
Well, we'll start right there with your 2 seniors, the tournament MVP, one of them, and Alex Simmons, and really just an all-around athlete. And if you haven't heard that name before, Simmons, you will. She is living up to the standards of what her family has set at New Hanover High School as well. Alex is really a true grinder and in every sense of the word.
Yes, you couldn't ask for anyone to go into the trenches with you before you would ask Alex. She's got to be the one. I was really, really glad to see her get that MVP, and I thought she deserved it. I thought she came ready to play all 3 games, and I thought she did an outstanding job all 3 games. What most people don't know is Alex has been with me since a 5th grader. She was my little water girl. Her father would go pick her up and bring her. She'd be there for home games. He'd have her on that bus for away games. So she's been with me for a long time, and for her to finish up the way she's been finishing up, it's just fantastic.
Well, she's leading or helping lead the Wildcats right now to a 13-1 mark, unbeaten at 4-0 inside league play. And I have to mention it, a 12-game winning streak as well. You haven't lost since middle of November, so it's been a couple of months since you've had that sour feeling in the locker room after a game. What's been the key to success here over the last 12 games?
It's kind of hard to pinpoint it. They're all working hard. They work hard as a team. Some of them get in there for maybe 4 or 5 minutes, and some of them have to stay in there for 25 to 30 minutes, and they're getting the job done. And it's been good to see. Right now we've got a little bit of an inside-outside game going. We got some kids who can and will take the outside jump shot and make it sometimes. And then we've got Alex and Nye in, and we've got Kaylee Merrill coming off the bench who's been doing an outstanding job. I think it's a combination of the starting 5 and some people coming in off the bench to relieve them and still being able to get the job done.
Well, that's one of the things that talking with some of the other coaches across the league is that you have a lot of depth this year rather than, and we just talked about it, rather than having to focus on one scorer, it could come from any different player on any given night. And going to the film here, coming off that Brogdon championship, you figured there might have been a little bit of a hangover having to go on the road against a decent Kinston team. With that said, you come away with a victory, and you continue to add it to that win total. What was the difference in that basketball game following 3 games in 3 days, and then you go on the road to face a Kinston club?
Right. We gave them a day off, so that don't call me a witch or anything. So they got 1 day's break. We were back in practice on New Year's Day. Everybody except for one was there. We expected that one not to be there, and they really wanted to play. They like playing games a lot better than they do practice. So when Coach Angel first came to me and said, "Hey, we're playing Kinston," I said, "On the 3rd," and he was like, "Yes." So we got an early trip because we had to leave with the JV boys, and the kids ran the floor well. They got up and down. They did a great job, and we wound up pulling it out. Our defense has been really key for us, and luckily we've been able to get some easy baskets with that.
So coming off that Kinston victory, obviously extending the win streak right now. Then you get back into conference play against West Brunswick and South Brunswick last week. You pick up 2 more victories. So there you are, sitting in sole possession atop the conference right now, heading into another big week coming up. as you mentioned a little bit in the previous segment there, you have some other ballers other than Alex Simmons and Aisha Waddell down in the front court. In the back court this year, you have some ball handlers. You've got some girls that can shoot the basket too, so that shoot the basketball. So that must bode pretty well for yourself as a coach.
Yeah, it's really making a difference. Like you said, you mentioned the winning streak that we want to put in the back, but having those kids handle the ball, and don't get me wrong, now there are times when there's turnovers, but I think Tanasia Toomer has grown up a little bit. She's done a great job of running the offense for us, and Taylor Perkins coming in off the bench to back her up. We've got Ayanna Cotton, who played some with us on the varsity last year, back and forth from JV to varsity. So all those kids have some of that experience under their belt playing at that level. And I need them, we're not where we want to be yet. And I need them each day to come into practice and keep working harder and harder and harder. And they complement our inside well when they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Well, it's not necessarily a bad thing that you're not where you want to be just yet, because you have the most, every game is an important one, the next one the most important. But looking ahead, obviously, going down through the conference tournament, you got another round against the Wilmington schools as well as the other teams in conference. But heading through this week, a couple of big games on the schedule.
Tough ones.
What's the key to keep these girls focused here? I know it's not hard when you're playing the Laney and Ashleys and Hoggards, but what's the key to keep these girls focused despite a 13-1 record? They look at that in the paper and see that they're 13-1 overall, 4-0 in conference. They may start to think that they could just show up and pull out victories. Now that's your job to keep them focused. So what's the mindset here going through the next couple days?
No, our practices haven't changed. It didn't matter to me that we won the Leon Brogdon tournament. When we got back in the gym, these are the same basic things we're going to work on. You think you're there yet? Well, look at the stat sheets. You're not. So we're keeping that high intensity in our practices. We're staying on them. We're doing the individual drills. We're just trying to keep the mindset that I can get better, although this is what I'm doing now. It's still not good enough. It's not good enough. And it won't be until the season's over. It's just not good enough.
Well, we hope that your team is able to live up to your standards heading through the rest of the way. They've done a good job thus far.
Thank you,
a number of different contributors to the winning streak, the 13-1 overall record, and sit atop the conference right now, 4-0 overall. You can't ask for much more than that.
You can't. But we want more.
You can only ask for one more. You're 13-1. You go into the games thinking you want to win every game, and you've done that except one. So you've done all right so far.
Thank you, Joe. We know we've got a tough one tomorrow. Playing over at Laney, it's tough for us. It's a little different environment. The fans are a little closer to us. We play them in the holiday tournament or the Leon Brogdon tournament, so we know it's not going to be the same. We know it's going to be totally different. I hope it's a good game on both sides. I think it's going to be a tough game to pull out, but we'll go and we'll do the best we can to represent New Hanover High School.
New Hanover girls basketball coach Vertha Dixon-Wright right here on the Sports Roundtable. We'll wrap things up for this edition of the show with Ashley girls basketball coach Adrian Gale after this quick break. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Sports Roundtable, our first edition to look at girls basketball across New Hanover County. Don't forget, you can catch all my high school coverage each and every day at PortCityDaily.com and on my radio show, The Sports Connection, which airs Mondays at 5 p.m. and Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. on 103.7 Port City Radio. Wrapping things up for this edition of the Sports Roundtable is Ashley girls basketball coach Adrian Gale. Coach, 2-2 in conference, 8-5 overall. You dropped a tough game to Laney the other night. What's it going to take for the Screaming Eagles to, one, get back in the win column, and two, get some more consistency on both ends of the floor?
I think that's the key word that you hit, the consistency part. We, at moments, look really good and playing really well, and then other games or other moments of a game, it's really low. There's no kind of in between, and we're just trying to build that in practices to try to get that competitive nature out. It's like when things are going good, we start playing better, but then when they're not, it's hard to bounce back. And that's half of that is youth. We're really young. The girls that are out there playing, just weren't out there last year in crucial games and big games and crucial times of the game. So it's a whole new adjusting and learning period. So hopefully we pick it up sooner than later.
Well, you're at 2-2 in the conference, 2 games back from the division lead, but you still have plenty of time to get back into it. It starts obviously this week with a couple of key conference games. But going back to Friday's action against Laney on the road, always a tough competition against Coach Tynes and what she does on the defensive end. But with that said, you were able to put together early 8 minutes of decent basketball to put yourselves in position to fight throughout the rest of the contest. Unfortunately, you came up on the wrong end of the scoring column. But maybe early in that game, what did you see positive from your bunch?
We had a good, strong start, and it looked like we were, started to play a little bit of offense and defense, and then, things just started turning. And again, once they started turning, it was hard to bounce back. We just could not get any consistency or any momentum flow going on the offensive end, and defensively, it was just not our better game. I mean, we were feeding the ball well inside in the first half, and Dana Craig was able to put some easy baskets in, and then it seemed like we couldn't finish. And once we couldn't finish those, the girls get frustrated. They thought they were getting fouled, and no fouls were called. I never saw a high school game with only 10 total foul calls. It usually happens in one quarter for us, on us. Not making an excuse, they got to adjust and learn how to play through that. But they're young girls, and it's hard for them to adjust on the rest sometimes. So we just couldn't finish well, and we were getting the ball ripped out of our hands too.
Well, one of the things that I do notice, maybe on the stat sheet or the roster at least, is you guys do have a couple of players with a lot of length, and I think that is something that is sorely missed not only on your team but across the rest of the conference heading through this season. So I think you have the body parts there, and obviously mixed in with a little inexperience. Like you mentioned, Dana Craig, only a sophomore, Carly Higgins in the backcourt, another sophomore. So yeah, while you have that length, inexperience also comes with that, and just tough to kind of pan out and even out where you are right now.
Yeah. And that's a positive. We have some athletes. Like you said, length, speed, quickness, everything. It's just right now we're just not clicking. We're not gelling. And you think that you should halfway through the season, but when we're adding players back and then subtracting players due to this injury or that happening, it's just hard to get a rhythm. And hopefully we just get a rhythm at the end of the season when it matters the most, and we peak then.
Well, that's the biggest thing, as we mentioned, on a bunch of teams off to a quick start this year. But with that said, you only trail 2 games in the conference, and you still have a whole bunch of other league games to play, including a couple of tough ones coming up this week. What's going to be that key to success heading through a couple of conference games inside your hometown?
We can't look in the past. We just have to move forward, and we practiced for that on Saturday, and trying to correct some mistakes, and then we just got to move on and move forward, and just have to go on to the next play, the next game, and just take one game at a time and figure out what we need to do for the next opponent.
Well, maybe who are some of the players that you're going to challenge, maybe personally, those older players that have that experience? Who are some of those players that you need to challenge, that need to step up in order for you to be successful?
China and Jada. On Friday night they scored 4 points each. So those two need to produce. When those two are producing, we go. When they are not, we have some setbacks. And we can with other girls, but it would be nice this one or two games to have everybody clicking at the same time and getting production out of everybody.
Well, do you think maybe going back to last year, obviously losing a key player like Felicity Havens, your top scorer, one of the better players in the conference and in the area, losing that and that kind of leadership vocally on and off the floor, and then you have 2 younger players that are now having to grow up real fast and take over that leadership role. Do you think that maybe has got to them a little bit? Now they have to understand that they're the ones that people are going to look to, the younger players that you're going to look to come up in crunch time.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a huge adjustment for everybody, for the girls, for me. I mean, a lot of times, I didn't have to say anything, and Fee kind of would do a lot of the motivation, the pep talking, the get everybody under control, and control the game when things were good or bad. And now everyone's kind of looking at each other, and you don't have that one person that is what you could depend on as a scorer. So it's kind of like who's going to take the ball, who wants the ball in times of need.
Well, we look forward to seeing how the Screaming Eagles pan out this week and then moving forward. Obviously, in the conference schedule, they're 2-2 in league play, 8-5 overall, trailing New Hanover by just 2 games inside the conference, but plenty of basketball still to play throughout the rest of the season. Coach Gale, it's always a pleasure talking with you, and we look forward to catching up with you in a couple weeks.
Okay, Joe. Thanks a lot.
This is the Sports Roundtable. That's it for this edition of the show. Don't forget, tune in next week. We'll catch up with all 4 of the boys' coaches across New Hanover County for our weekly look at high school basketball across New Hanover County. For everyone here inside the studio, we'll talk to you next time. I'm Joe Katz. Don't forget to tune in to my radio show at 5 p.m. on Mondays and 11 a.m. on Saturday mornings on 103.7 Port City Radio. Catch all our high school coverage throughout the week at portcitydaily.com.